Hey, what's up guys? Old Painless here, giving you another third-party review, and today we are looking at FansToys Tesla, which is a G1 Masterpiece-inspired Perceptor. Now, I'm a little bit late to the party on this figure. It's been out for a little while now, but managed to snag him off a pretty good deal, and couldn't pass up the offer. So, yeah, added him to my collection a couple days ago. And I'll say, just based off my initial impressions, I'm pretty happy to include him. Certainly not a perfect figure, but he does quite a bit right, and he certainly sort of fits my the hole in my collection here as a masterpiece Perceptor. But before we go into any further details, let's take a look at his packaging and what actually came included with the figure. So here we have the box, pretty nice, fairly standard for what FansToys puts out, but a nice painted rendering there of Tesla, FT09 FansToys there on the bottom. We do on the bottom and top get the microscope painting there as well, which looks pretty good. Back we have some product breakdown, some description of the character, etc., etc., contact info, all that fun stuff. And we also do get an instruction manual, which has sort of a rendering versus the actual painting this time. And again, pretty standard stuff. Gets you from point A to point B fairly clearly. I did think it was funny that on page 2 it actually mentions transformation of rear leg in dyno mode. So clearly someone didn't do their proofreading, or their editor did not do their job correcting the information inside, but whatever. You get a product card here as well. Same rendering we saw in the instruction manual. Text, specs, all that fun stuff. There we go. That will go back to the box for me. He also comes with 2 weapons. This is the larger of the 2 rifles. Looks like a single piece of plastic. Some minimal paint apps on there. Silver here too for kind of that I guess the ammo loading mechanism on the rifle, and then the scope is painted blue. Looks okay. Has a standard masterpiece sort of peg handle right there, which will slot into the hand. And here we have the other weapon, which is more of like a rocket launcher type of weapon, I guess. Black, sort of an off red, and then more of a lighter red color, which matches the red of the body. And it looks pretty decent. Has some simple sculpted, detail on there. Nothing too extravagant. And then he also does come with 4 additional pieces. These are replacement parts meant to swap out for the forearms and legs, or the thighs. And pre-installed is the standard blue look, which you can see right here. And this is cartoon accurate. These are more of a sort of a pale bluish greenish kind of look, which gets you more in line with what the G1 toy had. So if you want G1 cartoon, here you go. If you want to get a more toy accurate look, you have the option. I won't be swapping these out though. That's definitely the look that I like right there. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the figure here. Head sculpt is decent. It's definitely not a perfect Perceptor face. I think he kind of has a deer in headlight kind of look with the eyes. They're very big, but they are painted well. Kind of a metallic blue look right there, which I think comes out pretty well, and the silver paint on the face is very clean. I like the little yellow accent there on the crest as well. The lips are kind of weird to me. They're kind of really pouty looking, almost looks like a high school girl giving a duck face taking a selfie. So it's, I don't know, a little awkward. I think FansToys didn't really fail at this head sculpt, although I think some people may argue that. I don't think it's an awful representation of Perceptor, though. I do think that the company does better, though, at like masked looks, like their Bombshell was much cleaner looking. Head is on a swivel, as well as a hinge. The hinge surprisingly gives you a little bit of a lack of upward looking motion, but it gives a nice bit of a downward look right there. So, it functions well enough. This cannon does go up, has articulation, up and down. This can also be rotated to the other side, so you can basically have the shoulder cannon in whatever position you like. The paint breakup is pretty clean too. over the entire figure. Red plastic throughout, some subtle detailing on the shoulders, for example, there. Some of that silverish, grayish paint on the shoulders as well. You know, some detailing throughout there. Simple line work, which is very in line with what Masterpiece puts out. Very clean, very nice though. The blue arms and shins look pretty good as well. They do have some of that metallic paint speckle in there, which comes through, I believe, on camera. And then they are accented with the chrome forearms. The chrome on mine is a little dodgy though. There's kind of a little bubble right there, and then some kind of a scuff mark there as well. This one looks a little bit cleaner, I'd say. Arms give you all the articulation you need. They do a full 360, upwards extensions as well, upper bicep swivels. The elbows are on a double joint, which work pretty well, and they do have a black piece of plastic in there, which gets you some sculpted detail, which obviously you're breaking the sculpt if you go this extreme, but it kind of fills the gap a little bit. The elbow joints are a different story though. Very loose. I mean, you can see this is pretty floppy. Now, I am holding one weapon in hand here, which is adding enough weight to sort of drop that. See, I just kind of shook the figure and it fell down completely. This rifle fits in hand just as well. I'm not going to bother putting it in, but it is even heavier than this gun here, so good luck getting those elbows to actually support the weight. That's kind of a bummer. I don't understand, you know, why those tolerances are as such that he really can't keep his forearm upright to hold a weapon properly. And I have tried to tighten the screws up on the back, but it hasn't really done much for me, so the hands do swivel at the wrist. It has a standard sort of FansToys finger design, which I like quite a bit. So the fingers are individually articulated, and they are pinned at a hinge at the base knuckle, with the trigger finger having an additional joint, which is pretty nice. And then the thumb itself is on a ball joint, so you can kind of get some nice posing out of it. Generally, I'm not a fan of the super articulated fingers. I think this is kind of a nice happy medium between a very static, you know, rigid hand design versus super articulated. And the guns, they do peg into place, but they don't really peg in super tightly. But the good thing is that the fingers are tight enough and strong enough that even with a loose peg for the handle for the gun, he actually can hold that pretty securely without it really wiggling or wobbling around right there. The shoulders, you can kind of fake sort of a butterfly extension if you want to get some more elaborate poses, I guess, with the upper body. These don't really peg into place very well, though. I mean, they certainly go into the sculpted connection on the back here, but there's no physical like lock with it or any kind of indentation or peg for it on either side. So these are kind of disappointing. I don't understand why. You think that these would basically lock into place or secure in some fashion, but they don't. That's weird. You do get a nice waist swivel. Legs work well enough. They're on universals with ratchets, so you get some great buttery ratchets there. You can see the gun came loose too. We'll pull that out for now. The knees do get you 90 degrees as well. And then for the ankles, you do get a very nice rocker. And the toes, as well as the heel, give you some articulation. So you can kind of manipulate that and pose it how you want to. Paint breakup is nice though. You get the nice chrome on the chest as well as the abdomen, which also has some silver paint there as well. Behind the clear plastic here, we do get some additional detailing that's painted both silver and gray. So very nice little details right there. Blacks, blues we touched on already. The legs are pretty minimal for paint. They do have some nice little subtle accents though, like some silverish paint there. A little bit of blue and sort of that grayish kind of color there as well. And then the feet are painted black with silver tips. And these are die cast, so these feel really nice. They give him a really sort of nice weighty, stable size comparisons. There he is with KFC's Blaster or Transistor and an MP10 Optimus Prime. I think that scale looks fantastic together. And in case you want to see him with a Masterpiece car, There's Wheeljack. But yeah, I think the scale works. You know, he's a little bit taller than the MP cars, which is fairly accurate to the cartoon, and a little bit shorter than Blaster and Optimus. I think this works. It'll look really good on your shelf right here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this guy transformed into his microscope and see how that mode actually shapes up. And here is Tesla in his alt mode. And he's pretty neat looking. This is a fairly accurate representation of Perceptor in both cartoon and, you know, toy mode. And he's pretty fun. You know, he actually has a telescoping lens here, which is really neat. It's functional with that chrome little lever right there. You know, back is pretty plain for the most part, but I mean, you know, what do you expect? It's basically a microscope. You know, the chrome chest piece does fold down, as well as that little abdomen piece. And then for some minor detailing, he does have the sort of tank tread look here, as well as the spinning wheels, which are nice, and a spinning back wheel as well. And you know, he just comes together very clean for the most part. There's not much to really say about it. It's a you know, it's not a really exciting alt mode, that's for sure, but it's accurate. It's what you're looking for a Perceptor interpretation. Now, I do want to point out a couple things here. Some things that kind of irk me about the figure. There are stress marks. You know, I've transformed this maybe 3 or 4 times. But, yeah, right here, there's stress marks along the frame on this one shoulder joint. And they don't even look like stress marks. They actually look like cracks in the plastic. So that's definitely a little worrisome for me. And then also along this pinned hinge right here, there's definitely some cracked plastic there too. I've heard mixed things from people regarding this figure. Some people have actually had other locations for stress marks. There's actually one on the shoulder joint too. That's a pretty bad stress mark there as well. But this side is basically perfect. So I don't think it's a really overly common issue, but I have seen other people reporting it on message boards and stuff. So definitely an issue on that side, and it leads me to not want to transform this guy very often. You know, I don't think the tolerances were really worked out overly well for those shoulder joints. But other than that, I mean, this is basically what I would want and be looking for in regards to a masterpiece Perceptor. I mean, that really looks the part. I mean, it looks like a microscope, a bit, maybe a bit blocky, but, you know, in terms of accuracy, it has all the right colors in the right places, and the blues and reds and chrome and silver and black really break up the sculpt quite a bit, makes it look quite nice. I mean, there's even some visible detailing here along the inner lower legs, which are painted pretty nicely as well. So, yeah, not too shabby. So I guess the question comes down to now is he worth the money and your time? And for me, he was. Now, granted, I did get him for a slightly better price than most online retailers. So maybe that will sway my decision a little bit. But I think bottom line is if you're looking for a masterpiece Perceptor and you can't wait for an official, I mean, FansToys definitely hit the nail on the head with this release. I mean, it looks the part in both modes. He has all the articulation, sculpting detail, paint app quality and application that you're looking for. But I have to say, he doesn't really have the same FansToys quality that I was expecting. It definitely feels like it was maybe produced, and again, this is all speculation, but maybe it was produced at a different factory or something. Plastic quality feels nice enough, and the little bit of die cast it does have, gives it that sort of FansToys premium feel. But things like elbow joints, it's like they weren't even tested. Like, that just seems really odd to me. It has a lot of floppiness, which I don't really have on my Bombshell. And things like stress marks and cracked plastic, that's something I don't expect from FansToys. I expect better from this company. If you are missing a Perceptor, or you're a diehard Perceptor fan and you have to have this in your collection, then yeah, I think it's a great purchase. If you are expecting FansToys sort of premium quality, this one definitely feels a notch below. Although I will say a notch below from FansToys definitely feels better than some other companies' products I've also bought too. So you have to kind of keep that comparison and scale there, I guess, as well. Not a perfect figure, although I do think it's a solid representation of Perceptor. I don't know if or when we'll see another company tackle this character, a third party or official, but I'm very happy to have this on my shelf. It's certainly a solid addition to my collection, although I gotta say it's a little bit of a letdown in terms of just the QC on this figure. I hope that's not a trend going forward from FansToys. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and we should have some more reviews up this week. I do have Quake Blast en route, which I'm hoping will come maybe end of next week. I also do have FansToys Next Insecticon coming, which should be coming on Monday or Tuesday, weather permitting. So, other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and have a great night.